Basically, we assess countries, how countries perform in these 3 areas, looking at how budgets impact the lives of people, because we all know that budget decisions are very important in the lives of every individual in terms of what kind of taxes that government should impose on the people, what kind of services that government uses the taxes to provide, and then how much debt a country decides to take upon itself. And so, like I indicated, this assessment targets 3 key areas. The first area has to do with accessing public government, central government budget information that is publicly available online, and then also looking at the formal mechanism, the formal opportunities that exist for citizens to participate in the budget process, right from the budget formulation up to audit, the last stage of the budget cycle, which is the audit. And then thirdly, also looking at the role of oversight institutions such as the legislature, which is parliament, as well as supreme audit institution. In our case, we are talking about the audit service. So these are the 3 key areas that the Open Budget Survey actually assesses across 125 countries around the world. In terms of the methodology, like I indicated from the beginning, the IBP takes thorough methodology to undertake this assessment. First of all, for all the countries that participate in it, they have designed a questionnaire that has about a total of 145 questions for each country. Now, out of these 145 questions, 109 questions assesses public availability of budget documents. 18 questionnaires looks at the opportunities that exist for citizens to participate in the budget process. And then the last 18 focuses on the role of oversight institutions in ensuring that our budgets perform rightly. Every country has an independent organization that collects the data on behalf of IBP. So in the case of Ghana, it is SEM Ghana that does that. And so the data collection actually began sometime in January 2023, including budget documents released prior to the research cutoff date. Now, only documents that are published or events that have taken place between as of December 31st, 2022 are considered for this assessment. So it means that if any document is uploaded either by the legislature or by the Supreme Audit Institution or by the Finance Ministry at the time that 31st December is already elapsed, those documents can no longer be considered for the assessment. That is how it works. And so, like I indicated in the 7th point, any actions occurring after this date, which is the 31st December 2022, it means that that information can no longer be considered as part of the assessment process. If you look at the ranking out of the 125 countries that participated in the survey, at the transparency score, Ghana was ranked 70th out of the 125 countries around the world that participated in the survey. In terms of our peer in the sub-region, Ghana was placed third, with Sierra Leone coming first, followed by Liberia. We're only able to beat the likes of Gambia, South Tome, and then Nigeria, and then Equatorial Guinea. And so our transparency score for this particular year was 46, which is below average, even though if you look at the global scoring itself across all the 125 countries, the situation was not looking too different. So because the global average for this year assessment was 45, whereas the score mark supposed to be from 46 going forward. Now this table gives us Ghana's performance in the transparency score over the years. So from 2012, 2015 up to 2023. This survey is conducted by every 2 years. So which is why you see it this way. So if you look at the transparency score, in 2012 Ghana scored 50. We moved to 51 in 2015, and then we came back, we dropped to 50 again in 2017, and then in 2019 we moved to 54. And there was a slight also rise in 2021. However, for the 2023 open budget period, we declined again to 46, which is even below our previous scores as far as the other years are concerned. Okay, so I mentioned that the transparency scores, so usually what happens is that the assessors consider some 8 key budget documents that are internationally recognized and acceptable in measuring country performance when it comes to budget transparency. And so those 8 key budget documents are the pre-budget statement, we have the executive budget proposal, we have the enacted budget, the citizen budget, in-year reports, mid-year review, and then we have the year-end report, and then lastly we have the audit report. So if you look at the years from 2012 to 2023, if you look at the audit score, it means that for those years, Ghana had done very well in terms of making their audit reports publicly available online. But however, for this year, in terms of the 8 key budget documents, our performance was okay. So when you look at the pre-budget document, the green means that the document was available as of the time of the assessment. So it was only the in-year report that was not publicly available, or it was produced but not uploaded at the time of the end of the survey. So which is what has affected Ghana's score under the transparency component of the assessment process. So in terms of what has changed, if you want to say what has changed, like I indicated from the beginning, Ghana has decreased the availability of budget information. First, by failing to publish the in-year reports online in timely manner. And then also the content of the information that was also uploaded, the information had been reduced in the executive's budget proposal. So these are the key 2 reasons why our score on the transparency component has declined from the previous years to 46 in this 2023 survey period. Now let's move to the second component of the assessment, which has to do with public participation. To what extent is the government creating spaces, making opportunities available for citizens, civil society organizations, and all like manner of people participate in the budget process? Okay, so now basically it examines the practice of the central government executive, the legislature, and then the supreme audit institutions. Like I indicated, in this case we are referring to Ghana's audit service, using 18 equally weighted indicators that are aligned with global initiatives for fiscal transparency principles of public participation. And so in terms of our score in the public participation, for this year, the global average for public participation was 15. Like I indicated, it wasn't just Ghana. If you consider all the other countries, for most of the areas, most of the countries have declined in their performance in each of these 3 key areas for assessment. So the global average for this year was 15, and Ghana's score was 17, which is also a decline from the previous years in terms of our performance. And so we are only able to beat Liberia this time around. When it comes to the public participation, we were able to beat Liberia. That overtook us in the transparency score. Of course, we beat Liberia, we beat South Rome, and then we also beat Equatorial Guinea. However, Nigeria also beat us when it comes to the public participation in terms of the opportunities that the government make available for citizens to be able to make input into the budget process. Okay, so these are the 4 stages of the budget process. So we have the budget formulation, we have the approval, which is undertaken by the legislature, we have the implementation, which is done by the executive, and then the audit, which is done by the audit service. Now this is our score. When it comes to the formulation stage, usually that is where you find a lot of citizens participating in the process. This is the place where you see the finance minister often announcing, giving opportunities for people, citizens, CSOs, and all manner of people to participate in the process. But even that, our score was just 33 out of 100, which is not encouraging enough. So at the formulation stage, Ghana's score was just 33 out of 100. When it comes to the approval stage, citizens hardly participate in that particular stage of the budget process, which is why our score there is 0. Same with the implementation. When it comes to the implementation, it is basically done by the executive without so much involvement of citizens in the process. And then lastly, the last stage of the budget process is the audit, which is done by the audit service. And if that one too, our score was just around 33 out of 100. So it means that Ghana as a country, we need to do more in terms of how much space we create for the citizens to participate in all of these 4 stages of the budget process.